Yeah. Now, a little bit of a precursor, because we all know that over the board chess has a very strong mental emotional component to it. San Diego's freeway, which had 6 lanes, and this was basically the only way for me to get to the tournament. Of a 6 lane freeway, all but 2 of them were closed, and Google Maps didn't tell me. So what should have been like a 30-minute drive took me an hour. And luckily I left early, but I showed up and sat down at my board as the tournament director said, "Start your clocks." Oh, I was so frazzled because I get really nervous about over the board chess. um, and sitting down with no time to breathe. I did a lot of box breathing on the recommendation of like a random Reddit post just to like calm my nerves. And I didn't have time to box breathe before the round started. So I was definitely frazzled in this round. Use Apple Maps in the US, Google Maps outside. I don't have an Apple product, so I laugh and cry in Android. And Google Maps in general works pretty well for my area, but let me down really badly this time. Um, so this time I was playing as black against a person who I'll name A. He was, I don't know, probably like 9 or 10-year-old boy, rated 769. So a little lower rated than me, but you know. All right, so uh, no Caro this time, unfortunately, because he plays d4. That's okay. I've been studying Queen's Gambit declined. Bring on the Queen's Gambit, baby. Always reply d5 here. No! A London? Now, since I was still a little frazzled, usually online, I have not studied any theory to respond to the London. I know nothing. I know nothing. Um, Usually online, I go c5. But I was too nervous. I don't know if that's sound or not. And so I thought, what's a more sound response that, like, if I'm just playing principled opening ideas here, what would I do? C5 is great. And I analyzed after, and yeah, I would play c5. I think that just because I was over the board and nervous, I didn't play it. Which is a theme you'll see in this tournament, is me second guessing my intuition and making more passive moves. Not quite sure how to account for that, because online, if you make a move based on intuition and it turns out to be crappy, you only have to live with it for 20 minutes of your life. But over the board, if you make a move on your intuition and then it turns out like 5 moves later that it was a terrible idea, you have to live with that for several hours. And I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what to do about that. So I didn't go c5 in this game. I went with the very, very, very boring knight f6. So opponent goes bishop f4, and of course, there's an idea that is possible that I need to consider. So in order to make sure the knight cannot go for this tricky trap on c7, I go a6, which is a book move. I was a little surprised that it's a book move, but it makes a lot of sense. And so very London-y ideas. d4, c5. not at this level of chess. No siree. Not over the board. I would try it online though. Actually, I have a really fun idea for Friday's Halloween stream called Trick or Treat Blitz, where basically I have to flip a coin, and if it's trick, I have to play a gambit, and if it's treat, I don't have to play a gambit. So that idea is brewing. And Nova, you play that over the board. Oh, I bet your opponent's are so unhappy with that. So yeah, we go for a very just positional game. I didn't make the best move here, but remember, I'm not playing theory, I know, I'm just going on opening principles. So they propose a bishop trade. I take that trade because in London's, trading off the light squared bishop usually works out pretty well for me. Hello, Planet Al, welcome. We're viewing round 2 of my tournament. Would have played f3 as white. Oh yeah, playing f3 here, that's interesting. Because that's unpleasant. But it does get my bishop to a nicer diagonal. But we did trade off the light squared bishops. f3 does gain tempo for g4, and then the pawn storm is incoming. Actually, let me visualize that for you guys. If here, well, where can I go really? If I drop back here, pawn storm on the side of the board where I'm probably going to castle, right? So that's kind of unpleasant. Yeah, and that gains tempo for h4, so that's terrifying. I'm really glad my opponent didn't play that. Honestly, though, if they had done f3, I probably would have conceded and just brought my bishop back to a better side of the board. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened. This is what happened. So take. Good news is opponent doesn't know Jabava theory either. Yeah, opponent's rated 770 or so. So I kind of finish my pawn chain in the center, and now c5 is very strong because I can recapture with the bishop. That's always the idea of c5. I really like playing c5 usually because it allows the knight to get behind. It allows black to potentially get more pawns in the center. So opponent plays the queen here. I play c5. They take, I take, they castle. I castle. All very sound, quite boring moves. Nothing tactical is on the table. So opponent starts to line up pieces, potentially going for some attack here. I didn't think that was the best move, because where is this rook gonna go? The rook on the a-file is just hanging out. So actually best move would have been same idea, but with the other rook. Really good line in the Caro is c5 and knight d7. Knight d7. You can retake on c5 with the knight. Ah, yeah, so if the knight's here, you can take that way. That does seem really nice. So I don't go d7. I go knight c6 because I liked my knight to have flexibility on this side of the board as well. Knight wants to be developed to c6 to attack d4. Are we talking about this line, Nova, or Amuser's Caro line? But regardless, we're basically getting prepared to duke it out on the d-file. That's what this game is all about here. So opponent goes a3, probably trying to storm here to kick my dark squared bishop. So I go b5 to kind of say, okay, I can pawn storm too, and also create a nice hidey hole for my bishop that is behind my pawns. And now opponent is threatening my knight because right now my knight is undefended after I moved my pawn from b7. So I take here. It wasn't the best move. Best move actually would have been defending with my queen on c8 of all places. c8, I'm not quite sure why this is best, but well, I guess it's best because queen can't go here because of the bishop. And d7... I wonder if d7 would have worked. Yeah, d7 would have worked as well. E5 fork. E5 fork. Ah, yeah. If I could do this, that would be great. Queen b6 looks natural to you. Queen b6 is an interesting idea, kind of putting pressure this way. Does that work? Yeah, that works. Unshin says that works as well. But I didn't do any of those things. I decided just to go ahead and take here. I don't think I would have done that again. But that's what I did. Can't change the past now, right? Remember I said that for a couple minutes from now, please. And so I bring my bishop back because it obviously can't stay on c5 without getting captured. And so now they are threatening my pawn. I push it, and this push is nice because it also makes their knight move. Knight has to retreat back to e2. And now I propose a bishop trade. I don't know why, but this is best move. And I think the reason I proposed this trade was so that the knight doesn't really have a comfortable forward square to move to on my king side. Because if the knight could get in, you know, like there's some kind of like this ideas they have here with coordinating their pieces. So just proposing a bishop trade, their bishop felt a lot stronger than mine. So getting their bishop off the board was great for me. Okay, and now everything is well protected. We're in the middle game. And we're going for just some kind of skirmish with like who's going to be able to break through this very closed position first. I don't know why I brought my rook to the c8. I should have brought the other rook. The exact same type of mistake my opponent made earlier, I made this time. So, of course, they defend c2 with their rook, but I lift my rook, and this looks better for black positionally. It is slightly, ever so slightly better for me. But like practically speaking at this point, the evaluation is pretty dead equal. So I'm preparing to line up my other rook here, and then opponent makes this move, and I have to decide, is en passant forced? Is en passant the move I should make here? And I thought about this move a while, and in the game, I didn't like the idea of taking here for a couple reasons. First of all, it didn't seem like a winning skirmish on the c-file for me, and second of all, if I took here, they would have connected pawns against my one pawn, and moving towards an endgame, I didn't know if I liked that. So I did not take with en passant. I took with the d pawn instead. Interestingly, I was annotating this game earlier, and it said that the en passant option was best. But now it's saying that this is best, but... Okay, actually, Engine changed its mind. Maybe I have it on a different depth than earlier, but I think either pawn capture would have been okay, but this is what I ended up doing. So they take, and instead of taking right away, I line up my rooks. The pawns aren't easily mobilized to come forward. Yeah, I liked this idea of the deep freeze, where my pawn is making it impossible for their pawn to move. And so I'm trying to claim control of the c-file instead of taking right away, because if I took right away, then they could take back with the queen, and that would have been really uncomfortable for me, because how do I claim the file for my own? I can't. So I didn't do that. I brought my other rook in. I've opened the d5 for my knight in this variation, so that's good too. Yeah, my knight has a lot of options. You know, like maybe there's some kind of outpost here it can go to. And guys, I am not proud of this moment. I am not proud of it at all. As soon as we shook hands, I regretted it instantly. And like, I was scared. That's really what it comes down to. I was scared. I had terrible nerves, and my opponent had offered a draw, I think, around move 18 or so, and I declined it, thinking, no, it's way too early to make a draw. But then, for whatever reason, on move 21, I was like, yeah, of course. Let's make a draw, because this position's dead equal. I don't feel confident in my ability to continue playing for a win, so let's go for a draw. Past Anna, I am kicking her tremendously. It still is dead equal according to the engine, ever so slight advantage for black. But, yeah, I have nothing more to say about why I offered to draw here. And, yeah. Russian School of Chess, no draws. Yeah, after this game, when I felt like so much remorse and like regret for just like letting my fight or flight win. How's it, Pancakes? Hello. How's it going? I'm reviewing a tournament I played this weekend. And Nova, you never go for draws because you never think you're worse. Yeah, after this game, I told myself I wouldn't accept or offer draws anymore, except for things like repetition. Um, but there was a lot more game to be had here, and I don't know. I don't know why I made that decision. Can you hear the regret in my voice? Because it's there, it's real. And it didn't even occur to me in the moment, but this player was about 200 points lower rated than me. So, um, yeah, it was not a good draw for me, elo-wise. But now that we've talked about this game, I'm going to take a quick break. Since Queen's Gambit people are way less drawing, really. The show made it look like draws are only the last resort of cowards and cheaters. You drew someone who is 300 points higher than you and gained 7 elo. Yeah. Pretty much a win. Yeah. I'm sure that my opponent gained elo and I lost elo from this round. So, another reason why I should not have drawn. So like, were there wins and losses in this tournament? Yes, but this is the thing I regret the most. And moving forward, I learned this lesson. But, you know, my opponent played phenomenal chess. What did the eval bar said? Yeah, let's take a look. Let me show you the chessboard here. So the whole game, look at this. The whole game was basically dead equal. Why don't we just bring this into the center? That's crazy. You can see I had like a teeny tiny little advantage as black that was never exceeding more than 0.5. What was the accuracy? Look at this. Both of us played close to perfect chess. No one made any inaccuracies, mistakes, misses, or blunders. And let me remove the background from this so you can actually see everything. Grandmaster level for my opponent was 770 rated. Like, I think that was another reason why the draw was something I was inclined to do at the time. Like, perfect play from a 770. Who the heck knew what was coming next in this game? Not me, that's for sure.